Hello and welcome to the Tifo Football Podcast. I'm Joe Devine, and today I'm delighted to be joined by JJ Bull.
Good day to you.
Ruben Pinder.
Good morning.
And Kaya Kainak.
Good afternoon.
That's right. All of the different parts of the day covered there, just in case. Because we're aware that we have a global listenership, don't we? We have a global listenership. I don't look at the countries anymore. Long time since I've looked at any of the audience data. But I remember when I used to look that there was one person in almost every country. Not all the countries, but almost every country. No one from North Korea. Something may have been cut already off the bat, saying something about North Korea. Something's been cut immediately off the bat of the episode there, and it'll be a hard cut because I made sure there was no way of softly cutting that out. So good luck with that one, Steve. Anyway, what do we talk about on today's episode? What's on the docket? First thing to say, John, still banned. And we do not mention his full name here on this podcast. He is banned as a reminder because... Why is he banned again,
Potatoes.
Steve? Potatoes, that's right. Because of something about potatoes. I don't remember what it was. As usually is with these kind of long-term gripes and issues, you forget what the content of the argument was. But you remember the anger, don't you? And that man will never be allowed back. Maybe it had something to do with the fact that he looks somewhat like a potato. I don't know. Anyway... Here's what's on the docket today. England have retained the Euros. Yeah, that's right. We talk about the Lionesses. We heap an inordinate amount of praise upon the team, which you've included the word inordinate there because I used it. It took me a while to get there, didn't it, during the episode? Yes, that's right. Because I would say there is no inordinate volume of praise that you could heap on a team like this, you know?
I agree.
Yeah. What is the moral makeup of those who bathe, shower, or get hosed down? Who is the most evil of those people? We find that out during today's show. What tattoo would you get to commemorate a fine sporting achievement? We discussed this with Ruben, who's looking at his options at the moment. And also, what some of the England players could get if they wanted to. It's obviously up to them. We played the separation game. We played the Who's the Most Sunderland-coded player game. Yes. We played it for a little bit. You know, I could play that all day, that one. That's good fun. And then in the second half of the episode, we talked about how it sounds a little bit like Alexander Isak wants to leave Newcastle. Not just a little bit like it. It does sound quite a lot like that is the case. So we talk about that. We talk about Liverpool. We talk about where else Isak could end up. I'm not going to say the next bit you've written down, Steve. I'm just going to preface it. I do a hardcore prediction for where I believe Manchester United are going to finish next season, and then I force everyone else to do one as well. So look forward to that deep in the second half of the season. And then finally we finish on Mr. Morgan, Gibbs-White, and Mr. Marinakis.
Will that make it in? Do you think that will be in?
I think probably like most of that will be in. Yeah, I would have thought so. Yeah. I would think so, right?
Bit where Kaya screwed us will be Kaya.
Sorry about that. I might not make it back on the podcast ever again.
You'll be fine. It hath come home. It hath come home. England's come home? That doesn't make sense, does it?
Well, they have now.
Well, actually, no. It hath stayed home. It hath stayed home. I refer, of course, to the final of the Women's Euros, which took place last night as I speak. And what an affair it was. I mean, it seemed to sort of continue a trend, didn't it? At least at the games that I watched, where you watched them for the bit at the beginning, JJ. They won the game. And you go, oh, they're definitely not going to win. They're not as good as the other team. They're behind on goals in the game. And then you go, but they just keep, they call it spirit, don't they? That's what they call it on the TV. What do you call it? Did you watch it? Did you enjoy it? What did you make of it?
I watched the whole thing, yeah.
Did you find their approach that made sense?
England's approach to the game?
Yeah.
Well, I think the approach was good, yes, because they tried to win it.
Yeah.
And as we've established, important.
That is important, yeah.
I think, Spain were a much better team. You can tell that they're much better. Technically, but that's not always the team that wins.
Not for the whole game.
It's not always the team that wins.
I don't agree with that, though. I think they were the better team for the whole first half.
I can tell you when that is.
All right, but wouldn't you agree with me? Even I'm just jumping the gun a little bit, but wouldn't you agree with me that there were big chunks of the game where England were definitely the better team?
Yeah, in the second half, and it's the tactical change they made. So it's like this little real subtle thing.
Yeah.
So obviously the king of the out of possession, the lord of out of possession is not here because he's banned. So
who's that?
John Mackenzie.
Oh, sorry, we don't say that. We
you
don't
remember
say
him?
that name. No, we don't say that name.
Oh, he's okay.
No.
He who must not be named.
Yes. Voldemort, the famous football tactician.
The Lord of Potatoes.
They do look kind of similar.
Yeah.
They've got the same level of arrogance, haven't they? Plus, they both enjoy bathing a lot. You know,
well,
that's sort of evil thing to do, isn't it? A lot of bathing.
I think so. That's probably where evil plans come from, mostly.
Good people shower. Evil people bathe.
Yeah. And then what do people who get hosed down outside do?
Oh, they're animals. That's mostly animals.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, unrelated to any of that, in the first half, Spain were really good against England because they were pressing them really high. So Spain were the best team in the tournament. I think of all the games I saw, they were by far the best. Technically the best at keeping the ball and passing in one touch, and they play like I like that they play exactly like how the men's team do. It's exactly the same sort of style.
You feel like you can see the national identity.
Yeah, and I like that in national football when it does look not homogenous. It's different in different places. I like
it's
that
the
a lot.
amount of Barcelona players in the women's team as well, isn't it? That helps that.
And I mean that's the thing that runs through them, right? So it's all back to 1992 and blah blah blah. And so England just couldn't keep the ball in the first half. 33% possession. You might think because they were nervous or whatever, and Lauren James was like clearly injured from the start, you could tell. But Spain were pressing them player for player, a bit of a hybrid thing, but they were locking off one half of the pitch, leaving Jess Carter free to pass the ball, I think as a trap. I think they thought she's the one that they could allow to have the ball because she'll launch it, and she did, so they lose the ball quite a lot. But they would leave her free, the ball would go to Carter as the only free player, lock half the pitch off, then they would run to press, she'd kick it long, they couldn't keep it, they were stuck. So in the second half, and I just saw Michael Cox wrote a tactical analysis as well, it backs up what I'm thinking, so hopefully I'm correct. In the second half, really simple change. Alex Greenwood, who was playing at left back, rather than being in a slightly different, higher strata, which she would be in the first half, she was playing deeper as a part of a 3. The goalkeeper's even joining to make it a bit of a 4 at times. And so that meant that Carter was in the middle and wasn't the only one left free. So basically the Spain press was now confused because the first half they were lined up, they were ready for this. But Wiegman made it a back 3 and build up. And then that meant that they could also move Bronze inside into midfield like an inverted fullback, like you've seen many people do. And then that meant on the right hand side you had Lauren Hemp, who was dropping deeper because she was free for a long pass in the goalie. And like one of the things the goalie's best at for England is long kicks.
Yeah. So
she was finding her with this free pass. And even though it's still hard to control that, it just meant that not only was there suddenly a free pass, and if you get one spare player, that's great. It's all you need, really, in your build-up structure, so you can just build from there. But it meant that the forwards weren't sure who to mark, and you kept seeing throughout the game, all the way through it, there were just constant Spain players looking at each other like, who's here? Like, you should be here, and they didn't correct it quick enough. So that's the national identity of England, isn't it? Guile and desire, and also tactical intelligence, and just better than Spain. That's what you're saying. What you're saying is that England is better than Spain. Well,
nothing to do with the Dutch coach or anything like that.
No.
England, they were definitely, I think, more physical, and I think that's probably the strength of the men's team as well. And they were playing a lot of long balls over the top, which makes sense again when you're under the pressure from Spain, who also kept the ball a lot better than they did. But yes, they had that English spirit, the Bulldogs spirit, getting them through to the very end, and they did really well to come back into it.
You did, thanks JJ. You did see that, didn't you? Though you saw the thing I was most impressed by probably in the game was because of how one-sided it looked in the first half. I mean, I thought it was over. I could just, I was only joking.
I thought it was going to be 4-0 Spain.
Yeah, I didn't. I genuinely didn't think they would come back into it. And then they had, these kind of vast periods of the game. I think it was mostly after Alessia Russo scored the equaliser, where they just, and I don't want to sound like old man football pundit, but they just won every challenge. Every second ball fell to them. There was a good 15 minutes where it looked like Spain had not quite lost their heads, but just that England had gone up a gear in the desire category. I don't know how better to describe it, but things just sort of fell their way for a period of time.
Yeah, part of that might be the substitutes, which I think England benefit from everyone benefits from it in theory, but the 5-sub rule bailed them out of the seemingly naive decision to start Lauren James, because as JJ said, she was clearly injured, came off in the first half, and I just think back to the 2014 Champions League final when Diego Costa had to come off after 10 minutes. And in a 3-sub era, that completely ruined Atletico's chances of going 120 minutes. But this England team, like Sarina Wiegman, seems very set in her. This is the starting 11. These are the players who come on. And if you make an impact off the bench, it doesn't mean you're going to start. It means please make another impact off the bench, which is why you see Ajman and Kelly come on so often, and they made a difference again. And it's the fresh legs, the physical presence of those players.
It's this starters and finishers idea, isn't it?
Which can sound a little bit
American sports.
Yeah, or like a bit juvenile. Like there are no losers, but like it clearly works. And you see the same in other tournaments as well. Yeah. So that physicality that they can bring off the bench against a more technical, less physical Spain team seemed to be the difference.
It's quite. I bet players probably don't love the starters and finishers idea though, because it sort of feels like, you know, the one thing if you're a substitute for a big team, you know that if you take your minutes well when you get the opportunity, you're more likely to start. Whereas I feel like in the world of starters and finishers, if you take your minutes well coming on as a substitute and you keep doing it, then there's another school of thought that says, well, why change something that's working? If you're helping to contribute to victories coming on in the 60th minute, then are you, by doing good, sort of, resigning yourself?
And if you don't make
position?
an impact, does the conversation become, well, they need to start?
Yeah.
So they have longer to.
Because it always kind of makes sense to me, like particularly in these big games, when you do have a big squad you want to rotate. Maybe this doesn't make sense, you'll tell me, but sometimes I don't always want to start the best players because I want the substitute to be better than the player that came on before. And I know, generally speaking, energy levels, that's what makes the difference. But sometimes I always feel like, well, if you start with your really fast wingers, for example, when you substitute them off for players who are slightly different or not as good or not as fast, presumably like the difference in energy levels is sort of like made net neutral by the difference in quality.
I think it's less to do with those attributes normally and more to do with like risk and conservatism.
Right.
And kind of you want to be less risky at the start of the game than you would be in extra time, I guess. Yeah. Do you know? So maybe it's to do with that. It's like to do with directness and slight tweaking approach. Like not to do the whole comparing to the men's team again, but like last summer, Saka started every game and Palmer seemed to come on all the time, and that worked really well because Saka was protected the ball really well. Like, and then when Palmer came on, he would kind of take more risks and try more through balls, and it seemed to work. So I think Sarina Wiegman's found a good balance in that sense with her squad.
International tournaments are such like specific environments as well, aren't they? Like it's just a few weeks. Like if you're going to be on the bench, you're just going to be on the bench for a few weeks, and I think most players can grin and bear it. That's why in her post-match interview, Chloe Kelly, without even being prompted, she's praising Sarina Wiegman, despite the fact that she's been on the bench every game in the tournament. Like, I think there's a lot of players who'd be like, well, no, screw you, coach. This is all about me. I've come on and saved your bacon. But I think Chloe Kelly is sort of the fact that she's so willing to praise the coach who has essentially dropped her, despite her being one of the best players, if not the best player in the tournament, consistently, I think speaks to that sort of that mindset. And also, I think Sarina Wiegman, the way she does it is quite clever in the sense she's very clear on like, right, saying you're my starters, you're my finishers. Then there's no sort of misconception. No one on the bench is thinking, oh, but I played really well. Why am I not getting the start? Everyone's thinking, right, okay, this is my role. I need to be watching the game, thinking about how I'm going to impact the game. I think it's it worked in the last tournament, it worked again here.
The unity of that squad was like obviously beautiful to see after the final whistle yesterday and like throughout the tournament. But it's easy to forget that before the tournament, the discourse was senior players not going, like Earps and Bright not being there because they weren't going to start. And
it was a really big call, wasn't it?
Yeah, huge. Yeah. And it's proved to work out. And you can see like they all look up to players like Williamson as a captain and Bronze as the veteran, who was unbelievable, by the way, like absolutely hard as nails. You know, her middle name is Tough.
Is it?
Yeah.
So Lucy Tough Bronze.
Nominative determinism at its finest there, playing with a fractured tibia and like refusing to go off, which, you know, in some cases can be naive and players need to be told, no, you have to come off. Yeah. But I loved her penalty in previous round in the shootout. Like everything about the kind of like the example that she set that was my favourite part of it, I think.
Well, the two things to say. One, Steve's read my mind because this bit before he did write in here that Lucy Bronze has fractured her tibia. I had a fractured tibia throughout the tournament. I didn't know what the tibia was. Since I read that the first time, Steve's added, the tibia is in your shin bone, as if to predict that I wouldn't know. But also, he's written, Lucy Bronze has now won 25 major trophies which is
Wow.
an absolutely enormous haul. I mean, that can't be rivaled by that many.
She's played for a lot of elite clubs.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, just let's go back to Chloe Kelly just briefly, because we talked about her a little bit already. But 6 months ago, Kelly was out in the cold at Manchester City, right, Steve, and had been dropped from the England squad, full stop. A loan move to Arsenal led to more minutes, Champions League win, re-entry into the England squad, and then the opportunity to, of course, do what she did, which was to score a second European Championship international winning goal. Very impressive. But also, as an aside, Kaya, it does mean that the Arsenal women's team have an inordinate number of strikers.
Yes, I'm glad we finally got to this point of the chat where I can finally bring it back to Arsenal in some sort of way.
Yes,
But
of course.
They've got a lot. They signed Chloe Kelly permanently after a really successful loan, as you mentioned there. They've also signed Olivia Smith for a world record fee. Michelle Adjumang is the young player of the tournament. Alessia Russo is England's starting striker. Beth Mead is a fantastic player as well. Caitlin Ford, and there's plenty I'm forgetting, I'm sure. So that level of depth is amazing.
It would be great, wouldn't it, if there was a more sort of like back. I can't be bothered to do it. I was going to make a joke about how the men's team could benefit from some good strikers, but never mind. That's fine. I got stuck in my own back.
Yeah.
Alas.
Anyway, where were you?
What were you saying, Kyle?
Nothing interesting.
It'd be good if the men's team could benefit from some good back.
Yes. This is like being in Serena Wiegmann's team huddle before the penalty shootout. This is unreal. Basically, Chloe Kelly's story is really inspiring. Is what I was trying to get to. She wasn't just like out in the cold. She was. I'm going full football cliche here. Fully in Siberia when the January transfer window came around.
Yeah,
she was out of the picture at Man City. There were reports that she'd had a breakdown in relationship with their manager Gareth Taylor. Since that time, Gareth Taylor got sacked by Man City in March, and Chloe Kelly has gone on to win the Champions League and the Euros, playing crucial roles in both. So I think that decision has reflected pretty well on her. And now Arsenal have to find a way to fit all these players in, but it's a nicer problem to have. And I think she's a very popular player for a reason and very effective. In 2 tournaments now, she's made the difference. That's really, really impressive.
Can I be a huge pedant on a point that you made earlier?
Yeah.
She scored the winning goal in 2022. She did not score the winning goal.
Well, she scored the winning penalty, didn't she?
Yeah, it's not a goal though. It's the decisive moment. It's not a winning goal.
I would say, is it? Let me ask you.
I'm not belittling the achievement. I'm just saying it is a different thing.
But let me ask you some just straight up questions, and don't try and logic this. Just say yes or no.
Yeah.
Okay. Is a penalty a goal?
Not in a shootout.
No, just yes or no.
No.
A penalty's not a goal. You heard it here.
I would
first.
say that it does count as. I would agree with Ruben, but also it does count as a winning goal because of how she hit it.
Yep.
I do love the hop. It's a brilliant technique.
Because it's a rocket shot. It's like just puts it through the back.
I remember
therefore it counts as a goal.
I remember when she scored,
and she celebrates it like a goal rather than like they've won the tournament.
That's true. She does.
Okay, yeah. I remember the one she scored at the World Cup. That was even more powerful. That was brilliant. Yeah.
It's one of those penalties where you watch it and you go, "Oh, why don't they all do that? They should just do that because no one can save that."
Speaking of which, it's easy to forget now. But had England not won that shootout, we'd be speaking about Beth Mead's double kick, which obviously she was allowed to retake because of the IFAB rule change recently, following Alvarez's controversial penalty back in the spring.
I didn't understand that because I was watching it with people at home who were asking me, and I couldn't explain what was happening, and therefore I also didn't hear the explanation of what was happening.
So, do you remember Julian Alvarez against Real Madrid when he slipped and kicked the ball onto his standing foot?
No.
In the Champions League last season?
No.
Okay, well, Real Madrid beat Atletico Madrid on penalties.
Who are they? Go back further. No, go on.
Alvarez, his penalty went in but was disallowed because there was like a double touch.
Oh, because he touched it with his slipping foot.
Spotted by VAR.
Right.
And then they disallowed it, but he wasn't allowed to retake it. Have since changed the rules to allow a retake in that scenario.
Right. So John Terry would have been able to retake.
I don't think his was a double touch.
His went over the bar anyway.
I know, but I thought it was because it was a double touch, wasn't it?
But I think it's only if you score you get to retake it, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh.
So Mead slips, goes in off her standing foot, and then in the retake, you could see the scuff from her initial slip. And I thought that in her technique of the retake, you could tell that she was worried about the turf.
She was avoiding it.
Because the standing foot was so far away from the ball compared to where it would normally be.
Definitely.
And there it looked a bit awkward and it was saved.
I thought they were coming for us again, the world, coming for England,
I also loved
trying to keep it from us, Ruben,
Yeah, but they failed. Yeah. I also loved how Hannah Hampton, during her post-match interview, said that she just lost track of the shootout and was like looking at the fans for like confirmation of if we score, do we win?
Wow.
Because you're just so in the zone, you can't keep track of that.
I guess you kind of
without
would.
the graphic on the screen. It's hard
sometimes
to keep
even
track.
with the graphic,
Yeah.
it's hard enough.
Yeah,
You know,
do the maths.
we were struggling at home.
I thought was interesting about Hannah Hampton was rather than putting it on her water bottle, which is convenient as you take a sip from a water bottle, she had her penalty instructions on her hand.
That's why she had it tattooed on her arm.
Yeah,
didn't she?
like a temporary tattoo on her arm.
Yeah.
which
Or
I
like
thought
an
was
NFL
real.
quarterback.
Yeah.
They have the playbook on their wrist.
Serious question though. If you were a goalkeeper who won a Euros final after a penalty shootout, after making some excellent saves, and you had written it on your hand, would you consider getting it tattooed?
You go
Yes.
full Clattenburg, wouldn't you? Sort of Champions League, Euros trophy, and then
a pretty cool tattoo, wouldn't it be?
I'm
Like
still thinking about which tattoo I will get as my first ever to commemorate Palace's FA Cup win.
right.
So I told myself I would get one if we won, and we did, but I still don't know what to get.
What are the options?
So
Eze in an Arsenal shirt.
one very good. One slightly abstract idea I had was the pass map from the goal.
That's nice. Yeah.
Bit nerdy though. So
It
if
is a
somebody
bit nerdy.
asks and you have to explain it, you do sound like John McKenzie.
Also, I feel as though that's and listen, I'm just a guy.
Yeah,
But
so am I.
I feel like things that are transient, that change over time, are sort of aesthetic choices. Things that are choices. Well, that's cool. That seems cool now. But what you really want is something that makes you feel something, because that's likely to make you feel something on a continuous basis. Does the pass map make you feel anything, or is it just cool?
It's just
What makes you feel something about the final?
watching the final whistle and like when the TV camera like shakes
Right.
because of the reaction. But
So
like
maybe you should get a little whistle.
a whistle.
Yeah, you could get one like with a little string around the neck, and then like just have it in the center of the chest, like you've got a whistle on always. And when you look down, you see that whistle. You'll remember the shape of the
a gold
screen.
medal tattooed onto my. I mean, I've seen some really bad ones of like fully coloured in trophies,
Yeah.
and there's like too much ink, and it looks
Oh,
a bit
no.
cringe. But no, I think the notes on her for her penalty shootout would be cool.
That would be
I
cool.
think that would be cool.
Maybe you should get that to commemorate Crystal Palace's
that
victory.
would be commemorating yesterday. But yeah.
Well, the other thing to say about Hannah Hampton before we move on is there was a fascinating piece that was published. It was actually published a while ago, but then republished after the victory in The Athletic, written by Sarah Shepherd. It's called Hannah Hampton, How a Goalkeeper with Almost No Depth Perception Helped England Win the Euros. It is a very bizarre story when you find out that she hasn't got any depth perception. I was going to see if I could riff that off the top of my head, and then I was like, oh no, I don't know anywhere near enough about the science here. Because you see, Hannah Hampton was told by doctors from a young age that she probably wasn't going to make it as a professional athlete, and that's because she was born with a condition called strabismus, or eye misalignment, meaning that one eye is turned in a direction that's different from the other eye. So by the age of 3, Hampton had undergone 3 operations in order to correct it, none of which had proved wholly successful. But she seemed sort of unaffected by the condition as she grew up. Anyway, this article goes on to explain the science behind it. It's pretty. This is a very funny anecdote in here about her trying to put milk in the tea of her teammates at training and just like pouring it all over their arms, not getting it anywhere near. It's kind of nuts when you think that this is a goalkeeper. However, the fun thing when you read on, there is a quote from a doctor in here that says she doesn't really lose too much by not having stereo depth perception, which is the depth perception you get from being binocular, having 2 eyes. Because any ball that's coming to her within 2 or 3 feet of her face, she's not going to have time to react to it anyway. Nobody's going to react fast enough, even if they have perfect vision. So because you can't make motor action work that fast. So in some senses, there's an argument to say actually in her position, it doesn't affect her that much.
And she also has had that forever. So the idea is that you adapt anyway as a human to like what your brain perceives.
Yes.
So if it doesn't need that information, it doesn't need to give you that. So she is. I mean, she would never know what she doesn't have.
But that's the fascinating science behind it, is because one of her eyes is looking in a slightly different direction. Her brain has just decided over years, well, I just won't use that information. So I'll just use the information that comes from the other eye. And then that's why you'd say you'd only have like monocular depth perception. You still have some from one eye.
But as someone who stood in goal while a professional footballer took free kicks at me, may I confirm that there is no point being able to see where the ball is. It's too fast. I think, and another thing, like,
believe.
this is me making this up, but like, she might have had to train working out where the ball is going to go based on other subtle things. So, like, the body shape and the lineup, and where the most likely thing to do is what she would do in that situation.
Well, anyway, congratulations to the England women's team, and indeed all of England. God knows we deserve it, don't we? We do.
We do.
The team certainly does. Well done, and thanks for the fun. Okay, let's take a quick break. Before we do that, though, do you want to set up the separation game, Ruben?
Sure. So I don't know if this story's gone anywhere, but we decided this week to start with Granit Xhaka.
Oh.
Because he's been linked with a move to Sunderland from Bayer Leverkusen. Now, Ten Hag says we can't afford to let any more of our best players go. Granit Xhaka supposedly has said, I want to move to Sunderland. God knows why.
I love it, though. I know this isn't part of the purpose of you setting this up, but never before have I thought he's a Sunderland player. But Granit Xhaka, for me, is maybe the most Sunderland player of all time.
Yeah. 32-year-old Granit Xhaka specifically.
Yes, specifically.
Jan and Villa vibes when he went there.
Yeah,
maybe anything from 29 on, though.
Yeah. Well, Sunderland have a young team, so it makes sense to get an experienced central midfielder in there.
Yeah.
Jordan Henderson.
Well, he's gone to the other Red and White team.
There, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. Where did he go? Brentford.
Brentford.
That would have been the one.
Yeah. Jack Rodwell.
He's been there.
No, he's been there.
I know. He's when I think of Sunderland, I think of Jack
Darren
Rodwell.
Gibson. Lee Catamont. We could go on.
The player you want here is Kevin Phillips.
I still think there's something about Granit Xhaka, though. Aitor Karanka, you know?
Jermaine Defoe.
No, he's Spurs.
Did Karanka play at Sun? No, he didn't.
He was Middlesbrough.
He was Middlesbrough.
I know. I'm not.
Same part of the world.
The game here isn't name players that have played for Sunderland. The game is who is the most Sunderland player. It's a vibes-based
I don't remember
game.
Aitor Karanka as a player.
Well, then you can't participate in that part of the game. It doesn't matter. The point is, there's something inside of you that tells you, is this, based on vibes, is this a Sunderland player? With Granit Xhaka, the answer to me is yes.
Okay.
Jan Kirchhoff.
Oh, he was bad, wasn't he?
Maybe.
He's a Bayern guy. Yeah.
Maybe.
Anyway, Granit Xhaka, who might go to Sunderland.
Yeah, I hope he does.
And we're going to try and find a route from him to Patrick Kluivert.
Oh, good Lord. Okay.
Justin Kluivert's father.
Yes.
Just for our young listeners out there.
Yeah.
Like Alex Barker, who won't remember Patrick Kluivert.
All right. Yeah. Well, we'll go to a break and we'll be back as and when I have completed this game. We're back from the break. And good news, Ruben.
You've all done it in one?
We've all destroyed your game.
Okay. So should we start with my two then before you make it better?
Let's start with your two. Yeah.
Okay. So I went, as I was creating the route, Granit Xhaka played with Santi Cazorla at Arsenal.
That's nice. I like to think about Santi Cazorla.
Yeah,
he was
nice.
great.
Wonderful player.
Yeah.
And Santi Cazorla, as you correctly pronounced,
thank you,
of course, had a couple of spells at Villarreal.
Yes.
Now, Villarreal's wonderful playmaker in the mid-noughties, Juan Roman Riquelme,
Perfecto, eso.
played with Patrick Kluivert during his very brief stint at Barcelona. In 02-03, I believe.
That's nice.
So that's my two there, Cazorla, Riquelme.
That's a route full of joy.
Yeah.
And
flair.
Ours isn't full of joy.
So I've got a slight medium joy.
Have you got medium joy? Did you take a one, or have you got?
I've got a two.
You've got a two now. Okay.
Yeah, but it's kind of the problem is if you can get to this player, you can pretty much complete it quickly and always complete them.
Right.
Because Patrick Kluivert played at Newcastle with James Milner.
Do you think James Milner's like the closest thing we have to Kevin Bacon?
Probably, yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Because then he played with Gabby Jesus. As
discussed, he played with everyone. So.
Yeah, and then Jesus with Xhaka.
That's nice.
Yeah.
I've also got a less joyful two.
Yeah, go on.
Granit Xhaka played with Petr Cech, who played with Alex at PSV.
That's joyful in a different
PSV
way.
to Kluivert.
Yeah, I like that.
I remember.
Cech was at PSV.
Sorry, no. Cech was at Chelsea with Alex.
Right,
Yeah,
and
he
he played
was
with...
at PSV with Kluivert.
That is good. I like that one. Because you don't think of Alex.
No, but
No,
you remember
that's-
like every once in a while he would thunder a goal
That's
from
it.
like 40
I
yards
remember
out.
his free kicks
Against Liverpool, that
Yeah.
went like keeper side of the wall and then swerved back the
Fully,
other way.
yeah.
Any player that would have their own animation for a free kick in a football video
Yes.
game is someone I like to think about.
I also liked him because it was clear that he wasn't as good at defending as all of the other defenders, but he got in the team just because he could thunderfly.
Much like David
You need a
Luiz.
psycho. You need one of those.
Incredible.
In defense. Yeah.
They kind of had that in John Terry, and then they just had like somebody a bit mad next to him. Like David Luiz.
Do you want my Do you want my one?
Yes. What is your route?
I have to say I got it pretty quickly because in this case I was looking for something else. I'll talk you through my thinking. I did go to Patrick Kluivert's most recent team, which was Lille, 2008-9.
0708.
0708, whatever. And I thought, I wonder if, because I couldn't remember where Eden Hazard started. Did he start at Lille?
Yeah.
So I thought I'll go looking for him there. Maybe he'll be there. I couldn't find him.
Must have been a year or two later.
Must have been a year or two later. But I did find Stephan Lichtsteiner, who played with Granit Xhaka at Arsenal. So.
Oh, you'll forget about Lichtsteiner being at
You do.
Arsenal.
You do.
He was,
With good reason.
yeah.
Well, he only played 14 games, I think.
Is that all?
Something like
that many even?
But it was in the season. It was in a season that Granit Xhaka was also there.
What year was that?
Emery's first season.
18,
19, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I just stumbled upon it. So it was a lucky happenstance, but it was led by some foresight. You know, I got a bit
Oh, well
lucky.
played.
Yeah.
He's now a watchmaker, Stephan Lichtsteiner.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's his post-career
Oh,
job.
he's Swiss,
yeah.
isn't he? So.
Yeah.
Wow. Is it sort of like a national service thing they do in Switzerland? if you can delay it if you're a footballer, but then when you complete, you have to go and make watches for
That
a while.
or banking or chocolate, right?
Yeah.
That's the...
Or making those
Holy
automatons,
cheese.
those weird little children that they built, that they put around the clocks, you know? Automatons.
Thank you to Switzerland as a nation for hosting the Euros as well for us. I think
Yeah,
they did a
that
very
really
good
was a
job.
big plus.
Yeah.
Slightly concerned I've made the watch thing up now. Just Googling it to check.
Let's stay
Can't
live
find
with
it.
Kaya while we double check whether that was made up or not.
Lichtsteiner,
Lichtsteiner, watchmaker. I'll just look for Swiss National Service.
He became a watchmaker after Google AI says it's true, so I'll go for that.
All right.
Oh, and in Switzerland, all able-bodied male citizens are required to perform national service either in the military or a civilian service. Women can volunteer for either service. The military service is part of the Swiss army, while the civilian... I'm just reading this from an AI, by
Famously,
the way.
like extremely wide range of things that they can do as well.
Is there?
No,
Because of the knife.
Yeah.
Because of the knife.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lichtsteiner was an
That's
intern.
the
at a watchmaking
second
company.
really punny joke I've made today that got a completely dead response.
Maybe you should
Think about them more.
adjust. No, but the Swiss, though, they've made a big impact on the world, haven't they? The Swiss. Obviously, colonialism has helped, so I just want to get that out there straight away. But chocolate,
Yeah.
they did a chocolate stuff.
Cheese.
Neutrality.
And banking. They love banking.
Google are based in Zurich, I think.
Yeah. Tax benefits. They love that stuff out over there in Switzerland. Is this becoming... A bit was cut out where we talked more about Switzerland, but we agreed as a team. It was verging on inappropriate. Anyway, best of luck to all the Swiss, and let's let's move on. Oh, Alexander Isak. He's from Sweden. Not the same. Different place. Anyway, whispers have emanated from the northeast, haven't they? That Alexander Isak wants to leave Newcastle. Now,
What does a whisper from the northeast sound like?
what does it taste like? Really,
No. Say it. Do it in a northeast whisper.
I don't know if I can. I could try to I man my way in.
Yeah, do it.
But I'm not. I can never hold on to something from the northeast. Let me.
Sorry.
Whispers. No, that's
Scotland.
That's too Scottish whisper.
I went too far north.
Yeah.
I fell asleep on the train and I got off
Yes.
Glasgow. Damn it. Can I come back down? Hold on. Let me.
It's a Berwick upon Tweed.
Wait, man.
How
Whispers. No, I can't do it.
He's
That's
got
Northern
Northern
Irish.
Irish. You've got to cross the sea to Belfast.
How do I? Can you do it?
Newcastle.
Yeah. You're a fan.
I'd have to have practiced it first because I'll drop into it and then I go into another weirder,
What I
more different
find,
sounding accent.
I think with Newcastle is like if American sounds curl,
Yeah.
Geordie sounds swerve.
Ah.
So Americans roll their R's like that.
American.
And in Newcastle, it's very much like Isak wants to leave.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Whispers have emanated. That's not bad. That was
there you go.
okay,
It's
wasn't
good,
it?
Yeah.
From the northeast.
Yeah.
Yorkshire.
That
Yeah.
Alexander Isak wants to leave Newcastle United. I went to Manchester there, didn't I? Anyway, those whispers have emanated. But there's a few teams that could actually sign him. We'll cover those off. But events seem to be lining up, don't they, Ruben? A move to Liverpool, which has caught me by surprise because I've injured my back recently, so I wasn't working as much over the last couple of weeks. I missed that they signed Hugo Ekitike. And also we know that they signed Florian Wirtz. They spent a lot of money already. Are they really allowed to buy Alexander Isak? If that were to happen, that seems unfair.
It seems one of the only feasible options at the moment. Obviously, Liverpool would probably then have to do some smart moves later down the line to avoid PSR danger. But they've got plenty of PSR headroom this summer, which is why they've spent so big, having made record revenues and spent barely anything last summer. And like they even got some money in for Trent and let go of his huge wages, which helps offset the Wirtz thing. There's a short video about this on the Athletic FC's channel, which people should watch. So that seems to be one of his only options. However, they have just signed a forward in Ekitike, who Newcastle were also linked with. And the chronology of these news stories made it seem like Liverpool were kind of threatening to sign Ekitike if Newcastle didn't sell them Isak, to try and force Newcastle's hand, because Newcastle had also been linked with Ekitike, with the idea of playing him alongside Isak, because they can both kind of play central or left. But now Liverpool have signed Ekitike, and then after that, Isak decides that he wants to leave and hasn't been playing in pre-season. So it seems like there's a good piece on the Athletic website by Chris Weatherspoon looking at who can afford him. And while like City could, footballing reasons would probably stop them from doing so because they have Haaland and other forwards, right? Yeah. Bayern could probably afford him, but they've got Harry Kane and they're signing Luis Diaz from Liverpool
for 75 million euros. Further, we'll talk about that shortly.
Yeah, further enabling Liverpool to have the cash.
Yeah.
If he were to move to Saudi, there is a problem with because Newcastle and like let's say Al Hilal, for example, are both owned by the Saudi PIF.
Sure.
They wouldn't be able to bank that cash as profit.
Right.
Under like the PSR rules.
Right.
So that would not be ideal for Newcastle to sell their best player, have all the cash available, but not really be able to spend it in the way that they'd want.
Yeah.
Alex Barker, friend of the show who's been on this show before, did suggest last week that Real Madrid sell Vinicius, sign Isak, and then push Mbappe back to his favoured left wing position, which I think in theory does work a bit better than what Real Madrid have at the moment. However, Isak is also a player who likes to drift down the left channel. He's a bit more of a proper nine than the other two Madrid forwards, but and Real Madrid seem to have endless money and maybe not the same PSR rules as Premier League teams.
Yeah,
but I can't see them doing that given the other business they've done this summer.
Well, also presumably you just end up in the same situation with Vinicius Junior, where you have to find a suitor for him.
Well, yeah, exactly, and that would be arguably more difficult.
What about Manchester United? Are they ruled out because they're not a Champions League team?
Yeah,
and they've already spent money.
Well, they've already spent money on forwards. They have a lot of outstanding transfer debt. Like it's kind of 300 odd million in fees that they still owe for like previous transfers and stuff.
Right.
It doesn't seem feasible. Also, they're not in
They're
Europe.
also rubbish.
And has Gyökeres happened to us?
Yeah.
Is that confirmed?
Yeah. He was out on the pitch in Singapore the other day.
Seems a shame timing-wise, doesn't it? Because they wanted Isak as well, didn't they, JJ? So imagine if they just waited a bit.
If only.
Yeah. It's going to make it even harder if Gyökeres isn't everything that we all hope he is next season.
It seems like Isak might have gone a little bit early or late, depending on how you look at it, with his demands, because now all the fans will be a bit upset with him because he's done the "I don't want to play for you" thing.
Yeah.
But I think also like he is one of the best strikers and therefore players, because they're the most important players in the world. And he's on, well, according to Capology, I don't know how much you can trust all these different wage figures because they don't include bonuses and how the actual deal is structured and stuff.
Pinch yourself.
But he's meant to be on like 120,000 a week, something like that.
Right.
He's got 4 years left or something like that, his deal.
So it's presumably worth quite a lot more money than that.
Yeah, I think it's either 4 or 3 years, so I'm not getting this exactly right, but like people will offer him 300 grand a week, and he'd and then the rest on top,
Yeah.
So like it's meant to be a business decision that when you look at a player with that long left in their contract, why are you offering them a new deal? It ignores the human nature of.
Let me ask you a question.
Trying to keep people happy.
You like working here, don't you?
Yep.
you love me.
Yep.
Like I'm your fan. You love me. Yeah. You want to play for me.
Sure.
But if another rival podcast came and offered you 3 times as much money,
Yeah.
would your love for me stop you from leaving?
I would have to kindly say to them, yes.
I think when you put it in those terms, though,
It is that. It's just work.
It is
yeah.
that, yeah.
And also, like you can love the fans and the people you work with and whatever, but it's like this guy is an elite sportsman with a very short career who wants to earn loads of money. And also, it sounds like they earn loads of money, but the people above them who are making the decisions tend to actually earn a lot more and for a lot longer. So you've got to make wise choices in your 20s, especially if you're a footballer, to try and get ahead. And just because you then want to go somewhere else doesn't mean you suddenly don't care about that place. But also, you just have to remember these people don't, like, he's not a Newcastle fan. He's not from there.
Yeah.
So
It is funny, isn't it? It's a bit like if the people of Aberdeen had turned their backs on you because you moved to London.
I'm sure they don't like me anyway, but yeah.
Oh, Aberdeen, not good enough for you, JJ. You've got to go down to London.
Something like
That's
that.
a great Geordie accent you're doing there.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, that is very
Yeah.
good, yeah.
Okay, well, I mean, I'm very curious to see what happens. I'm frankly, I'll be honest, I'm frankly terrified of the notion of him moving to Liverpool because I just think that makes me feel like confident in saying, oh, it's over.
Do you know where would be absolutely best for him? And it can't happen because of money, is Barcelona. He'd be the perfect Barcelona striker.
Yeah.
It's just exactly like the elite level that would make them go somewhere else.
Bad timing, I suppose, to be coming into your prime at a time where Barcelona have f***ed it so royally.
He really should have done this at the start of the window, shouldn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah,
But on that, like, we're finding out about it now, right?
Yeah, maybe
I'm
he
sure.
did,
I'm
yeah.
sure there would have been in the. It's not
Yeah.
like last week he would have just woken up and thought, you know what, I don't fancy Newcastle. I'm sure there would have been like.
I mind when
workings
Wayne
in the
Rooney did
background.
something not dissimilar when he was going to move or something like that, and he got a massive new deal out of it. And it could just be that they're playing
Yeah.
really big cards, like you're really paying the risk to try and get a proper deal over the line. Newcastle
Yeah.
are supposed to be like one of the richest clubs in the world. I know there's all these rules in place that mean they can't do it, but it just seems really stupid, and it must be a real letdown for all the fans who are like, we're going to be massive! And then it's like, but only at £10 a time.
Especially when there's not a big striker out there ready to replace him with. Like, if Isak were to go, who would Newcastle bring
Well,
in?
the noise is all set.
Dominic Calvert-Lewin.
Could fans say, you know, I remember this happened with the oh Christ, who even was it? Who was complaining about someone leaving and then we talked about it.
Trent?
Though. Oh, was it Trent? It was of course, it was the Liverpool fans and the Trent thing, and their criticism of any criticism of it was always that it was the way in which it happened, when it happened, or whatever. Could you argue on that basis that Newcastle fans would say it's not that we don't want him? Obviously, they don't want him to leave, but it's not that they're just angry because he's leaving. Maybe it's because of the order of events in which it's occurred, where Ekitike has now gone to Liverpool. Like, who is the
It's even more than
near
that.
elite example?
It's like their window is awful. Like they've completely goosed it again after several windows. I think it's 3 windows now where they just haven't been able to bring in anything that you want. If you're Isak or Gibbs-White and you're looking at how you're going to develop and get better and compete for the actual trophies. I mean, they won the League Cup, but you want to go to the Champions League. You need more better players to come in, and everyone has gone somewhere else. And like James Trafford's gone to Man City now. He's been on their list for about 2-3 years, something like that.
Yeah.
All these targets are just going. And so if you're Isak, you're thinking, well, these guys are not who's in charge? Like, where's the order of things? Where's the direction? Where's the upper momentum we're meant to have? They brought all these star players like Gibbs-White, Botman, and Isak are all like the best ones from outside of the top clubs that were available at the time, and Newcastle got them at exactly the right time. But now everyone is doing the same game. They're all signing these players. All the players that you would have bought in Football Manager 2 years ago, they're all gone. You can't get them now. So now you're looking at people who are even younger to try and bring through who are not ready yet.
Yeah.
And so you end up with players now like Seshko, who I like Seshko, but I don't think he's going to be. I don't think he's. Weirdly, I think he would have done well at Arsenal because of stuff he does that isn't goal scoring. But I think you put him in at Newcastle, he's not going to be able to do the goals that Isak does, because Isak scores out of nowhere. He generates massive XG, but he also scores over it every single season. He is, if he was playing for Real Madrid, he'd be talked about as the best striker in the world, I think.
It's a scarcity of nines that means players like...
There's actually loads of nines, because this is the thing, because I went through this list the other day, and I was thinking, there's no nines, but there's actually hunters. If I can find them, hang on. In fact, there's too many to list, but I went through a big list and I ended up making a spreadsheet.
Okay.
And then I got bored,
Right.
and now I can't find the spreadsheet.
Okay.
And this is most of my life, Joe. I find notes on my phone of like lists of things to do that I've forgotten to do, and I made the list to remember to do them. I have to make lists to remind myself of the lists I have.
Was your plan there briefly to read out 100 number 9s? Just
I don't know.
Row? Okay.
They also don't have a sporting director.
Newcastle.
Paul Mitchell left after less than a year at the club, and they are
That's right.
looking at who are they getting? Guy was at Rangers.
Oh, Ross Wilson.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that seems to be heating up, but it's not ideal to go into a summer window with that. And like Chelsea have nabbed 2 of their striker targets, and they were interested in Delap and Joao Pedro, both fancied London instead, I guess. And Burmo would have been a brilliant signing for them on the right hand side. I think would have suited their style, offered a bit more goal scoring quality than Jacob Murphy had, who filled in brilliantly last season. And Mbermo inexplicably preferred to move to Manchester United, which must be a wages thing.
I think,
and it's like a historical prestige, blah blah blah. But like,
I think you're right, Ruben. But I also think it's down to the lack of momentum that Newcastle have. So although they're in Champions League again, I just think like if you're a footballer, like they see football the way we do. Like they probably watch the same things that we do. They might even watch what we do. I don't know, but like they will have the same opinion of Newcastle. Like but nothing's happening. They're not buying anyone. So like, what's my motivation? Am I the one who's meant to drive it? I can go here where I'm guaranteed this, and they've got history, and they're trying to get back.
Whereas a couple of years ago, Guimaraes, Isak had just arrived. It felt as though something
exciting.
Was,
we're going to bring in these guys, this guy, this is happening, and you're like, okay, I'm into this.
Well, it's crazy because they have won a cup this season.
Sure.
So of course it's the cup that nobody really cares about. Not the
Well,
real one, but you know.
Let me tell you. Here's a little prediction from me. Put this down. Mark this down, Steve Hankey. I said this on the 28th of July. Okay, it's a Monday. I saw the highlights the other day of Man United's first pre-season win over
West Ham.
West Ham,
2-1. And I don't think Mbermo played, but I know Matheus Cunha played. Fernandes was pretty good, and I thought, actually, now I can see it with those 2 new guys up the top there, and Fernandes in there, and all the I think they're going to finish in the top half. I really do. That's my prediction. It's not crazy. It's not loony land. I think they're going to finish in the top 7.
Can I back you up with something?
Yeah, we've gone from top half to top 7 in the space of 5 seconds.
Top 7.
Top 1.
28th of July.
I also saw some highlights, and I was going to watch the game, and then I saw, I can't remember his name is, but he's a guy with a Manchester accent. He's on TikTok, and he does analysis, and he does this really good analysis of a couple of things I've seen recently. I can't remember what his name is, so sorry. But he pointed out like the spacing and the lines of United's shape is a lot better than it was at any point last season, which hopefully what they've done in pre-season. They can work on some of the things that make the Amorim system work. That said, it's West Ham in a like meaningless friendly, and not all the players are there. And I think they switched them all at halftime as well.
Sure, they did.
So, but you can still see signs of progress in pre-season. So there's one thing. But
top 7.
I'm gonna wait till I watch, and I'll tell you. I can't. Okay. I don't want to.
What does your heart tell you? Just based on what does the narrative tell you about what should happen?
Well, I think
next?
It's funny that they finished like 18th.
Of course, but they've done that now.
Yeah, but then
technically, I think it was
that would have been relegation.
Yeah.
That
would have been very
15,
funny.
16.
Yeah.
It was 15th or 16th.
I like the players they brought in, and I like the way Amorim talks, and I think it is. So they
missed a lot of goals last season, right? They weren't that bad defensively for most of the season. They actually had pretty decent defensive numbers.
They were cut open, so like a lot of games they won was because the other team got a red card. So that is another thing to remember. And the run towards the end of the season was awful. They kept losing all these games. And like the Europa League final was one of the worst games of football I've ever had to watch.
That was bad.
Yeah. And then you've got players like the Bruno Fernandes thing was going to be relevant forever, because in that game he was playing as one of the main the advanced forwards, which is not where he's meant to go. Kobbie Mainoo is meant to be really good as well. I've only seen highlights, so I can't tell you. But like all these things should come together. Having more goals will make them more dangerous. And then if you've got better players up top who are able to actually generate chances when they've got the ball there, you're less likely to get turned over.
Yeah.
And if they're defending with the right spacings, and you've got centre backs, I think Aidan Heaven's playing left centre back. I really like him pushing up exactly when you're meant to. And like if you've got Ugarte, maybe he's playing and he's fit and he's jumping onto people. Maybe you've got more of a
top 7.
West Ham's goal did come from a high press that wasn't followed up by a defender, and then West Ham kind of walked through the centre.
Right? Yeah.
But like that, it's just one goal. My dad, United fan, also very encouraged by that first half performance, and like you, gave the kind of I love how low the optimism has fallen to top half. It's Manchester United Football Club
That is
talking
pretty
about
funny,
it. But yeah, also the absence of European football and therefore midweek games
Yeah.
will afford them more time to nail these things down, like you say.
I don't want anyone to have any more information than they have now. Okay, football is a game of belief and stardust. Yeah, so just based on your heart and your brain and what you think that the narrative, the story structure, if it were being written by a higher being, tells you about what's going to happen next. I'm going to go around the table. I want you to tell me a finishing position for Manchester United this season. I'll come to you last, JJ. Kaya, what position do you think they will finish in? I'm taking 7th.
9th.
9th.
11th.
Ruben,
11th.
11th. JJ.
They're going to win it.
You heard it here first. That's Monday, the 28th of July. If they do now. Imagine. I mean, they obviously won't, but it'd be pretty good.
I just thought of something funny I could do, but there's no point. I could say every single position and I could just have the clip. So.
All right, well, before we wrap up, let's talk about Morgan Gibbs-White not going to Tottenham, which we thought might happen, but then he signed a new contract with Nottingham Forest, Ruben, didn't he? Of which Marinakis,
Mr. Marinakis.
The Nottingham Forest owner, was included. His name was included in the tweet announcement.
It came up first. Mr. Marinakis' name came up first before Morgan Gibbs-White's name, and I think that's appropriate because Mr. Marinakis is Nottingham Forest Football Club, and it's just such shrewd business for him to keep Morgan Gibbs-White at the club, where he is definitely really happy and excited for the future of the club, led by Mr. Marinakis. And yeah, I mean, the Forest fans understandably buzzing to keep him, and for that they have Mr. Marinakis to thank. It's an incredible piece of content, really, but also, like, to be serious, the whole nonsense about this, the like reporting an illegal approach and everything, I found quite bonkers because it's kind of how all transfers happen now.
Sure.
As published in a how do transfers actually work? Why does tapping up not get kind of punished anymore?
Yeah.
Clubs generally don't report tapping up because they all do it themselves.
Yes.
To save time. Essentially, it's an efficiency thing.
Also, presumably just to check with the player that they'd want to come before
so they don't waste time.
Yeah.
And also there was supposedly a release clause which was triggered, but then he didn't go. So
interesting.
But there is an incredible cut in the video of Morgan Gibbs-White saying how happy he is to sign again for Mr. Marinakis, where about 3 seconds in, it cuts to Mr. Marinakis, who stood next to Mr. Gibbs-White, and he just looks at the camera smugly, like that, very smugly, kind of nodding, like, yes, Mr. Gibbs-White is still my player.
Wow.
And he actually did a bit to camera saying, in the end, we always win. I just find it bizarre. He's a huge character in the Premier League narrative.
That's certainly true, isn't it? Yeah, very strange. Okay, yeah, I mean, Forest sources, speaking anonymously as they weren't authorised to do so publicly, also had concerns over Tottenham, how they became aware of the confidential details of the previous contract, which is what you were referring to before. Because we had David Ornstein on the show recently. I think it got cut as part of the rushes because we didn't have time to include it in the final show. But he was talking to us about, I didn't know before, that there are some secret release clauses which are in contracts, but part of the clauses that they're not allowed to be known.
Well, that was so interesting, that bit.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Well, there we go. Okay. Well, good luck to Mr. Morgan Gibbs-White on his next couple of seasons at Nottingham Forest. I'm sure he'll do tremendously well there. Good luck to all the other players that have moved. Congratulations to the England Women's Euros team, and see you later.